In today's video, I am going to be diving into what is such a hot topic right now in our industry, and it is AI editing. So I'm specifically going to be covering IMAGEN AI. That has been the software that I have been using for the last year and a half. Before we dive in, hi, I'm Manali of Manali Photography. I run a business coaching business for growing wedding photographers, and I am also a private one-on-one editor for wedding photographers. So here are my thoughts on IMAGEN AI. I've been using it for about 18 months now. So I've had dual experience with it where I was using it when I was primarily photographing weddings a little while ago, and I have gone through the training of the algorithm myself as a photographer. And now on the flip side, I use it almost every single week as a wedding editor for other wedding photographers. Okay, first off, if you don't know what IMAGEN AI is, it's a software that you can download to your computer that essentially starts to learn your editing styles. You give it past catalogs that you've edited of either weddings or portrait sessions, and it starts to learn your editing style with the more images that you give it. To start, it asks you to send in about 3,000 images so that it can start to learn from your editing style. Okay, so after it has learned your unique editing style, what you can then do is upload new catalogs for it to edit for you. So what's really nice is that they call it project for each different catalog that you upload, and you can filter it and tell it, okay, like here are the images that I have already edited in this catalog, so it doesn't over edit those. And then it'll let you know how many that it is going to edit for you, and you will upload your catalog, and then it will go into the editing phase. So the editing phase, depending on how many images you have uploaded, will take anywhere between 5 and 15 minutes for anything between, I'd say, 300 to 1,200 images for it to edit. It might take a little bit longer if you're giving it even more images to edit. And so once it's editing, you don't have to do anything. You can go ahead and do any other work in your business or anything like that. And once it's done, it'll allow you to re-download the Lightroom catalog and download all of the edits into your existing Lightroom catalog for you to go ahead and then review. So you're just going to click download to review edit. It'll open up all of the final edits in your original Lightroom catalog. So then in Lightroom, you just go through and review everything. If you need to tweak anything, you can do so just as you normally would and normally would edit in your Lightroom catalog. So that is the whole process. And then once you're done making tweaks and finalizing your edits, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and actually upload your final catalog to IMAGEN AI so that it can take those new images and look at anything that you tweaked to keep learning and keep refining and tweaking your editing profile so that it can learn essentially from what you did and then use that for any future catalogs that you upload to it. So that is the whole process in a nutshell. It does charge you per image that you want it to edit. And so generally I will have it straighten every single image and then apply color edits. I've also played around with the cropping tool. For me, I found that it does a pretty decent job of making sure that anything that's in the surrounding corners or frames of the image that's distracting is cropped out. But it doesn't do the best job of making sure that your subjects are super centered. Like sometimes it'll be one way or the other. So depending on your cropping preferences, it can either work really well for you or you might have to tweak it a little bit. I always make sure that I do a final review and edit through all of the images before I send a catalog back to a client. So I still go through every single image and make sure that it looks absolutely perfect. And that way it's like teaching IMAGEN itself how to refine for future catalogs. So that is the whole process. As I mentioned, you pay per image and per the number of edits that you want done. I personally haven't used the culling feature before. I've heard from a few photographers that the culling feature is not quite the best, but I'm sure it'll get better with time. So personal story of me using IMAGEN AI, I started using it back in the summer of 2022 as a wedding photographer myself. I had a really rough time with the first few weddings that I gave it because it was still required a lot of fine tuning and fine tweaking. And I stopped using it for a while and kept editing myself. And then I came back to it again this summer and I have noticed that it does a much better job. But after using it for a bunch of my editing clients, I have noticed that especially at the beginning, there is a little bit of a learning curve of how to use it and how to use it. And two, the edits start to get pretty consistent and pretty good around the 5,000 to 6,000 photos training mark. So just don't expect it to be perfect on the first try. It's going to take some trial and error and tweaking and refining for it to get really close. I will say if you are a photographer who shoots really consistently and has your editing style nailed down to a T and you have figured out how to like edit consistently in a multitude of lighting scenarios, IMAGEN AI is going to be great for you. If you are somebody who's still establishing your editing, if you're still working on getting consistency across the board, especially from like outdoor photos to like nighttime indoor reception photos, it might just take some more tweaking and editing on your part for IMAGEN AI to work really well for you. If you are not shooting in manual, or if you're shooting with like white balance on auto balance, it'll do a pretty good job of normalizing the white balance, but it's going to be slightly different for different photos, which you might have to go back in and tweak. Okay, the last thing that I want to talk about is actually the benefits and the cost effectiveness for it, because I get these questions a lot from photographers. The total cost per wedding catalog with like around 800 images you edit is usually anywhere between $40 to $60 if you are going to use IMAGEN AI. It's a little bit cheaper if you're not using like the cropping function or the straightening function. It's a little bit more expensive if you're using the color editing, straightening, and cropping. So that's something to keep in mind as you are thinking of using the software yourself. For me, I think it is well worth that time, just because from the personal time trade-off, I've seen IMAGEN AI cut my editing time in half. And so where it used to take me about 3 to 4 hours to do about an 800 to 1,000 image wedding to edit, now that takes me anywhere between 1 to 2 hours with the process from start to end of uploading the catalog into IMAGEN AI, letting it edit, me downloading the edits, and then reviewing everything from start to end, or rather from end to start because I edit backwards. That has been the time trade-off for me. But again, this is me about 6 months into using IMAGEN nearly every single day and every single week to be able to see that time trade-off. And so just know that the more that you use the program, the faster that you will probably get and the better of a job it will do, because you are giving it more and more images to train off of. So I always recommend to my clients to at least give it a try and give it a shot, in the sense of you're going to try it out for a quarter and see how you feel. I also don't recommend trying this out in the midst of busy season, because adding something new and potentially overwhelming to your plate that's supposed to help you and cut down on time is probably not the best strategy. So I hope that this video is coming out at a good time. You have some downtime to just go and play with it, try an older catalog maybe, and comparing it to your edits versus what IMAGEN gives you back. Take the time to upload those 3,000 to 5,000 photos to actually train IMAGEN on your specific editing style if you have a consistent one. And if you have any questions at all about using the program, feel free to drop them down below. I'm sure somebody else has the same question, and I will be sure to answer that in the comments. If you have any questions that are personal to you and you want to shoot me an Instagram DM at Manali Sontake, my DMs are always open. I'd be more than happy to answer anything there. Let me know if you want to see like a screen share recording of me behind the scenes of using IMAGEN AI and what that looks like actually on the computer, because I would be more than happy to do another video on that. I hope that this video was super helpful. Let me know your thoughts down below. And I do have a freebie that's all about cutting your editing time in half and to get more efficient with your editing workflow. So if that's something that you're interested in, be sure to grab it down in the description below, and I will catch you guys in the next video.